Hey, everybody, welcome to The Dust Up. I'm Al Madrigal, joined by my good friend, comedian, actor, director, Jay Larson. Today, we are talking about
Hoops
and NBA dust-ups. Just sort of a quick run-through of the NBA's most notable beefs. We're talking Dolan versus Oakley. We're talking Draymond Green. He punched Jordan Poole. We're talking about Jordan versus Pippen. Pippen's ex-wife now goes after Jordan's son. They're broken up.
Did she go after him or did he go after her? I don't know.
Think she's pursuing him for sure. Anyway, it's a great one. It's a lot of material, but it's topical because it's the NBA Finals. Welcome to The Dust Up. All right, welcome to The Dust Up. Jay,
Al?
like starting out by saying, how you doing, man?
Good to see you, buddy. I walked in today. I'm like, dude, are you an assistant coach for UCLA? I love that pullover.
Oh, thanks, man.
You ever go to Jackie Robinson Stadium?
No.
Awesome. Awesome place to watch a baseball game at UCLA.
I didn't realize Jackie Robinson. I was actually hanging out last night with a bunch of Pasadena people. Obviously, I was with a guy who wants to do Eddie Van Halen statue out in front, and he wants to pay for it himself. He doesn't think Pasadena does enough for
Eddie Van Halen?
Eddie Van Halen.
He thinks Eddie Van Halen needs more shine?
He more shiny needs a
How
statue.
many drinks in was this guy?
We were pretty loaded.
There you go.
I'm a little hungover. No,
Anyone who's proposing a Eddie Van Halen statue.
He didn't want just Eddie Van Halen. He wants Julia Childs. And he also wants...
Speaking of, it's going to be a basketball episode, so it's good to bring up
Jackie
Julia
Robinson.
because Julia Childs could dunk.
Yeah. Dunk a fucking rotisserie chicken. Dunk a...
You ever been to the taco spot up in Santa Barbara that she like put on the map? She went there one day and ordered something, and then went back up to the window and ordered every single thing. Las Tacos Taqueria or Suprema Taqueria, I forget what it's called, but it's like
It's right there on the beach?
No, it's not on the beach, but it's up in Santa Barbara. I've been there. It's not bad.
I have heard of this. I think I may have gone to it, but anyway, so this guy wants to do more to put up statues, and Jackie Robinson, one of the people from Pasadena, but also a UCLA grad. Right?
Yeah, UCLA grad. Stud.
Yeah.
Absolute stud.
And his brother was like some sort of amazing track athlete. He was an incredible Olympian.
Really?
Yeah. So they want to get statues of all those guys and Eddie Van Halen, get the Van Halens going. And then my buddy, who
I
you
love
call...
it, like you take Jackie Robinson, they're like, not only that, we also want to do Eddie Van Halen.
And Julia Childs. So...
And JC.
We want some Pasadena celebrity statues up in front of that convention center. There you go. So, but I have never been to the stadium. I will go.
What about a UCLA hoops game?
We went to UCLA. I go to UCLA football games.
I've been with you.
And we get some tickets. It's a great time.
Oh, God. Maybe one of the most anxiety thing I've ever experienced. I go with Al to this football game, and he goes, listen, I got everybody's we got all the tickets. And he goes, but yours is in a different section, but you just come down and sit with us, and if someone has us move, and I'm like, no. I remember this? I go, I do not want to have to move from seats, dude. I can't handle it.
I forget when this is.
It was during the pandemic.
Oh, okay. But it wasn't Rose Bowl or anything.
It was at the Rose. No, it was just a regular UCLA game.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember who they're playing. But like I'm never the guy that's like, let's go sit in these seats. If someone comes and asks to move, we just move. I'm like, no. I buy my tickets. I want to sit in my seats. I don't want, you know what I mean? There's something about like growing up with no money to feel like I'm sitting in someone else's seats.
The thing with the Rose Bowl is that it's so huge that there's a very good chance that and especially at a UCLA football game when they're not that good, there's some seats.
Yeah.
So I think I totally hear the fact that you don't want to sit in someone else's seats. However, at that stadium where they can seat 100,000 people, and they even have it sectioned off, so it's about 70, but I'm saying like 19 are showing up for those games when they suck. So you got a lot of open seats. So it was not risky.
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying. You don't want to have somebody come and go, hey, dude, you're sitting
in my seat.
And then you got to stand up and you got to fight them. And you got to choke them. like Latrell Sprewell choked PJ Carlissimo. And that's what we're going to be talking about this episode, folks, because we're in the heart of the NBA finals. We got the conference finals that are going on right now. It's looking like, and you don't have to be a basketball fan to just be aware. You can be made aware here.
Do you like entertainment? Because sports ultimately are entertainment. Wouldn't you agree?
No, there's always stories. That's what sort of gets my wife into football. When you watch, my wife is super into Hard Knocks.
Mm-hmm.
So when you watch Hard Knocks, they do a great job of showing the story behind like a guy who's a vet who's been in the league and bounced around for 4 years, coming back from an injury. So there's all the drama and the stories behind all of these players. You have a new coach coming in. You have a whole new attitude. I know in Seattle, something that's happening right now is their new coach just went in and sort of erased everything. So they had all these murals all over the walls, and he just painted over all of them.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. So, like, there's all these backstories that go on. So there is a lot of drama that's happening behind the scenes that once you're made aware of, it makes it more compelling.
So me as a sports fan, I have my team, right? But I like to follow the season. So I know all the little things that are happening at each different team, and then I follow storylines throughout the season. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I think one of the biggest things that's been going on in this playoffs is Anthony Edwards has literally just said to everyone, yo, you know who the fuck I am? Even though he's been a stud since he's been in the league, but it's been super fun to watch Anthony Edwards.
And they came out. Anthony Edwards is this #1 draft pick, and he's a young guy. He's 22 years old. He also just, like, if you see him off the court, he's dressing like a normal person.
Well, he's also like, he's super smart. He's super calm. He's super articulate. He gets everything. And when they were down 2 games, they were down 3-2 against the defending champs, the Nuggets. And he goes, "There's 2 games left. It's a whole series." Like, there's no panic in the guy. He's just like, and then boom, they come back and they win.
He's amazing. He probably also had like one of the best blocks this year, one of the best dunks this year. Like,
he does it all, man.
He's incredible.
And he runs at a high, moves.
That's what's interesting about the playoffs is this first game that they played against the Dallas Mavericks, they did not come out with a lot of energy.
And he just goes, "We were tired." And he goes, "We were tired."
But you can't be.
I know, but it's just, I think it's like he didn't sweat it too much. You know, that's what I like about him.
So, as these conference finals are probably closing out when this gets posted and the finals start, most likely it's going to be the Boston Celtics versus the Dallas Mavericks.
I still don't know if that's true. Definitely the Celtics. I think it can go either way with the Mavs and the
I actually really am rooting for Joe Mandy, who's a comedian, who's very funny. He is a massive Minnesota Timberwolves fan, and I really have. He knows that I'm a Golden State Warrior fan, and they've done some trades over the years. I know they've been trying to build this team for a long time, but he's such a dedicated fan, and that's a small market team.
Yeah.
They haven't won since Kevin Garnett.
KG.
Yeah. Kevin Garnett was on, so it's like. I really am rooting for them for him because I know it.
And their GM built the Nuggets, and then 2 years ago went to Minnesota and was like, "I'm going to build a team that can beat the Nuggets," and they just did. It's wild.
It's amazing. And I mean, we're comedy friends, but I'm just aware of the fact that this guy's been a diehard fan for a long time. So it'd be nice to
for sure.
All right. So what we're going to talk about, I want to ask you about your favorite basketball games, like when you were a kid, because you just told me that they just put up a hoop in your neighborhood, and the entire neighborhood is flocking to the hoop.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like this old lady's coming out with walkers like, "Who's got game?"
Yeah. Hit me.
But yeah, it's the best. My neighbors for Christmas got their son a hoop.
In ground?
No. Adjustable.
Adjustable with the sand, or they put the water in the base?
I don't know if they have water or sand in there. I think it's
Lifetime?
sand.
What kind of brand are we doing? Spalding?
I don't know the brand. I don't need to know the brand. It's not my hoop.
Is it a quality hoop?
Works for us. Because you know what happened? He put it up. You know what I did? I bought a basketball. And then I signed my son up. I go, "You should do basketball." Like, they have like a thing. And he goes, "I don't know." I'm like, "Do it." And I signed him up, and he loves it. And now we're out the other day, he shot like 6 in a row. And I'm like, "Dude, you're crushing." He got so much better just from being in there. And we do it at the 10-foot. I measured it. It's 9.7. but sometimes we'll lower it down, and it's the best, man. My buddy comes over with his teenage sons, and we play 2-on-2. And you should see dads, dude. Dads come by, and they just can't believe, like, oh, people are doing pickup games? Like, it doesn't happen anymore. You just don't see it.
One of the greatest moments in me and my sons, one of the greatest moments in our, I don't know about for him, but for me,
I can't speak for him.
I can't speak for him, but I know it was definitely on our highlight reel. We were playing a ton of basketball. My son, we were in Brooklyn when I was on the Daily Show. So he's probably like 9, 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And we played 2-on-2 against 2 college kids.
What?
And beat them.
And he was 9?
And he was 9 because my son could shoot from the outside. And
at 9, how outside could he be?
He was in a basketball camp, and he won the free throw competition in Brooklyn. Lorenzo came home from his group. He goes, Dad, one of the kids in my group dunked.
No way.
And they were in like a 12-year-old, like 9 through 12. He was 11 years old.
11.
And so we took on these 2, and we went to that park. It was like adjacent to downtown. And walked over there and beat these 2 college kids. We just were on cloud 9.
So if we could say
happy.
that the story started with him being 9 and now he's 11, the college kids may have been in high school?
The college kids were different college kids.
Okay. Got it.
He's just
I'm just trying to get legitimacy to the story.
All right,
you know?
I'm saying, okay, he was 11.
In 5 years from now, they're G Leaguers.
G Leaguers. He was 3.
Yeah, he was 3 then. Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, we love basketball. We played a lot of horse in the driveway. We played a lot of pig
horse.
too, just to get a quick one in.
Yep, pig.
Yep.
My favorite all-time game is Knockout.
Oh, yeah,
Knockout's the greatest. When we were talking about front. When you miss, first of all, when you hit, you're stoked, and then you just pass it back.
Explain
but when you
knockout to people. So you do it from the
knockout is there's 2 balls, and you line up in a line at the free throw line. As soon as the person in front of you shoots to start the game, then the next person can shoot.
You don't have to let it hit the rim?
No.
No, you can shoot.
I can't remember specifics. It might be different rules, different ways. I'm having to teach my kid and the neighborhood kids what shooting around looks like. Because when we grew up, if you were shooting and you're just shooting around, someone shoots and you hit, you make it, you get the ball back.
Oh,
you
yeah,
make it,
for sure.
If you get your own rebound, you shoot. Once you miss, you lay it up, and then the next guy gets it.
Yeah.
So I have to teach that to them because one guy will hit and the other guy takes it and he shoots. I'm like, guys,
no.
So
you get the ball back, especially if you're not too close. But if you're from the outside, you make a good shot.
Yeah, of course. So for a knockout, first person shoots, you miss, the person behind you shoots. If they hit it, you're knocked out. So whoever's behind you, and if you miss, you can lay it up, but you get the shot from the free throw, and then you just keep going back in the line.
Ours got aggressive, really aggressive. I remember playing when you're like, again, 13, 14, and a lot of elbows being thrown. You aggressively box out. You can also kick the other person's ball out of the way.
See, we didn't do that. We were, although Ben thinks differently, people in Boston, we play gentlemanly. So we play and we fight for it, but we're also gentlemen. So it's like you can't kick someone's ball. You can't knock it away. You could fight for your rebound and, get your shot up, but...
We played 21 or red, white, and blue, which was... every person for themselves, but you could play with 3 people. That was a fun game. So if you didn't have enough to do 2-on-2, you red, white, and blue.
That sounds fun.
First person goes, and then whoever's got the ball, the other 2 are defending. It's fun.
We never did that.
You get to 21. I'll play. I had a doctor when I was 45 say, "Hey man,
wow, that was a while ago."
Yeah. I had a doctor when I was 45 go, "Look, dude," he goes, "don't be trying to play basketball. Don't try to jump off anything." He goes, "No sports for you." He goes, "You're in prime Achilles tear age." He goes, "Don't try to be athletic."
I tore mine at 46.
Did you? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you doing?
Playing paddle tennis.
Oh, yes. See, fuck that. No paddle tennis for me.
But I'm back, dude. I'm hooping it out there.
Is paddle tennis pickleball?
Nope. Paddle tennis is paddle tennis. Paddle tennis has been around for a long time. It's big in Venice.
Why didn't paddleball take off like pickleball has taken off?
I don't know, because someone put it into marketing. Like paddle tennis has been around for... In fact, you go down to Venice, if you try to play pickleball on the paddle tennis courts, you will get beat up.
By who?
They're hardcore. The paddle... Dude, you should see...
The paddle tennis community.
I'm telling you, bro. What do you think?
Today we're talking about, as I mentioned, a variety of basketball feuds. I sort of did.
Before we get into these feuds, can I just say one thing?
Sure.
I played organized baseball and organized soccer as a kid, but never basketball. Like my mother wasn't into we got into those two things. So we would play pickup at my buddy's house, and he had the adjustable rim, and we'd put it down. We put it down 9 feet, and you could goaltend.
Oh wow.
So I always had pretty decent hops, and I was like, I'm only 6 feet, but like I would jump up and swat things away, and I would always play with my buddy's dad, Gary. Like whenever we were going to play, it was me and Gary, and he called me the Jaybird. He goes, the Jaybird, and I would just go, never been coached. I'd always yell it out, never been coached. And to this day, all my boys know, they're like, Lawson's never been coached, baby. But I'll run that pick and roll all day.
But you were decent. And now do you feel like you can play basketball considering your Achilles tear?
I'm playing out there with my buddy who's 45 and his two sons
running
that are
around?
Yeah, I'm gassed. His two sons, one's a junior, one's a sophomore in high school. No, one's in 8th grade, but he's like 6'2". He's got these two Malibu kids. They look like Beavis and Butthead. They don't know what's going on. They're both in great shape. They're all tan with the super long hair. They're total Malibu kids. And they both play water polo and volleyball, but the younger one can like play hoops. He's so tall, he can shoot. So we go out there and we show him what's up. We show him what's what.
So, yes, I'm glad that you are still out there and you're active.
I'm trying.
It's good.
Thanks.
I'm not.
You take good care of yourself. You're in great shape.
I go on walks. All right, so we are talking about NBA feuds, and we are going to count down 10 NBA feuds. We're going to have to go through these pretty quick, so just a couple minutes on each. We're going to talk to you about Dolan versus Oakley. We're going to talk to you about Rajon Rondo versus Chris Paul. Did he spit? Westbrook and Patrick Beverly. Paul Pierce and LeBron James, Draymond Green and Jordan Poole, Latrell Sprewell and PJ Carlissimo went in for the choke. Reggie Miller and Spike Lee. Speaking of choking, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. I think you also wanted to talk about Jordan versus Steve Kerr because they got into it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that was like a.
There was not a lot of meat on the bone with that one, but worth mentioning.
Yeah.
And then Kobe versus Shaq, and then last but not least, because I think this is probably the biggest one with the two biggest stars, is Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. So we're going to touch on all of those today.
Let's do it.
I know you wanted to take some of these.
I don't care where we start. I think the Magic and the Bird one is a great one because I don't even look at it like a dust-up. I just think people kind of...
it's an intense rivalry.
But
I think what's great, if you want to look up, because I've seen some Instagram stuff, and maybe we can put some of it in there, Larry Bird talked a ridiculous amount of shit.
Yeah.
And then backed it up.
Yeah.
And was hitting some of the most unbelievable shots.
One of my favorite ones was they were playing the Pacers, and it was the last shot of the game, and we off a timeout, and he walks with Chuck Person, was guarding him, and he goes, hey, I'll tell you what's going to happen. They're going to throw me the ball here. I'm going to step back. I'm going to drain a three right in your face. And then they did the play, and he's like, told you, bro.
Yeah. No, he was just hitting unbelievable shots. So the rivalry there starts when they're in college. In 1979, they played against each other in the NBA championship game. And then it took off in the 80s when Magic started playing for the Los Angeles Lakers. And, of course, Bird is playing for your Celtics.
Well, it literally, first of all, it built the NBA.
It really did.
The NBA is built off the idea that this white kid from Indiana went to Boston on the East Coast, and this black kid was he from Detroit? Where was he from?
I don't know.
Magic playing
East Lansing, Michigan.
East Lansing, Michigan.
Michigan
right,
State. And then he went to L.A., and they ran Showtime, and they were this upbeat tempo, and they're like this old Boston team, bunch of white dudes. And then, boom, they start meeting in the NBA Finals every year.
Yeah. They faced each other, actually, in 3 NBA Finals, 1984, 1985, 1987, with the Lakers winning two of those. Mm-hmm. Do you have a bunch of Bird stuff in your house? I mean, are you growing up, you're a massive Larry Bird
Well,
fan?
you know what? I will say this. I was a sports fan, so I had a Magic poster and I had Bird, and I had the Converse because they both were sponsored by Converse at the time. So I had both of them. I mean, I also, there was no ESPN and there was no cable. So for me, I knew everyone on the Lakers because we play them all the time. I also knew everyone on the Pistons, anyone on the Bucks, Jack Sigma. You know what I mean? I knew who all the guys were, but I always respected the heck out of the Lakers. I always wanted to beat them, but I always respected them because we loved that team. James Worthy. I saw James Worthy one time when I was waiting tables, and I just went and I stood next to him, and I go, "What's up, bro?" And he goes, "Hey, man." I go, "Just got to let you know, big Celtics fan." He goes, "Oh, that's cool." He goes, "I talked to Kevin McHale this morning." I'm like, "You did? What were you guys talking about?" And we just got into conversation. I'm like, "Oh, my God, you're the coolest."
We would see a lot of athletes at, especially basketball players. So I saw like Patrick Ewing.
Where?
At volleyball, girls volleyball.
Yeah.
When my daughter's playing volleyball in Southern California, you've got all of these NBA players with daughters that have these 6'4" daughters.
Yeah.
And so I walk past, it's just me walking past Kevin Garnett.
Oh, KG.
And I go, I'm going to say something. I think I told the dad I was with, I go, watch this. And I go, Uncut Gems. I go, you're a great actor. And he goes, oh, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah.
Like you knew exactly what to say to him. Because no one's saying great actor to Kevin Garnett, but he is a great actor.
He did a great job.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite Kevin Garnett moments, and this is, again, like what I love about the respect of sports, and like KG is getting interviewed All-Star game. I think it was All-Star game, and there's all these people around his locker, and James Worthy is like in the locker room, and he's like at the outskirts of this group of reporters, and people are asking him, and KG just is going, big game, because big game James Worthy, and he's just screaming for him. It was the fucking coolest moment.
How was that on audio? Aaron, do you love when Jay screams like that?
Not necessarily, but it was.
I don't give a shit. I'm aware of the microphone. I'm shooting over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously that is one of the biggest rivalries in the NBA, you know, in terms of teams, and then these icons playing against each other throughout their college career, and then obviously, you know, in the NBA.
Also, greatest thing ever, why Red Auerbach's one of the greatest basketball minds of all time. Do you know where Larry Bird started his college career? University of Indiana. He got homesick, so he went home, didn't play basketball, then enrolled in Indiana State, where he became a freshman. Back then, you could draft guys after 4 years, so the Celtics drafted Larry Bird as a junior, even though we couldn't get him for another year.
That's very smart.
Yep.
There you go. All right, some quotes. Larry Bird, I don't care who guarded me. Nobody was stopping me in that fourth quarter. And Magic is a little, you know, glad there will be another time to prove who's better, and that's what I love about this game. So
I also love one time Larry Bird during the three-point contest walked into the locker room and goes, "Who's coming in second today, boys?" It's badass.
yeah, no, he's incredible. We got to post some of these shots. They're unbelievable because he's talking so much shit.
Do you remember the day when you found out that Magic had AIDS?
No.
I do. I was at my girlfriend's, and like there was a press conference, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, because back then, remember when AIDS became like, it had never really been talked about, and then you heard like what it was, and I was just like, "What? It's gonna happen?" And then, you know,
I forget what black comic had this joke, but the only thing I remember is comic, the good AIDS and the bad AIDS.
oh no,
He goes, well, apparently there's the good AIDS and the bad AIDS. He goes, Magic Johnson got that good AIDS. He goes, he got AIDS a long time ago, something like that. Still dunking. Easy-E got the bad AIDS. He goes, motherfucker found out he got AIDS at 2 p.m., dead by 4:30.
During the Flava Flav, someone said, I think it was Lisa Lampanelli maybe, she goes, "You look like what Magic Johnson's is supposed to look like."
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next up, this is a rivalry of players on the same team. And we are with the Lakers again, Kobe Bryant and
The
Shaq.
Diesel.
Yes. Their feud was marked by personal and professional conflicts during their time with the LA Lakers from 1996 to 2004. Despite their tension, they won 3 consecutive NBA championships from 2000 to 2002. But it led to a very public breakup, with Shaq being traded to the Heat in 2004.
And winning a title.
They eventually reconciled. Shaq famously has said, "I'm not worried about the little guards. They can't touch me." And Kobe said, "I'm tired of being a sidekick."
Well, yeah, I think they both were just like the best player in the world. You know what I mean?
They were.
Nobody can guard Shaquille O'Neal. Nobody.
It was funny. We were watching Shaquille O'Neal and Draymond just recently podcast, and Shaq was talking about who would guard him if the championship teams played against each other. So the Lakers championship team with Kobe versus the Golden State Warriors with Andrew Bogut and like one of their championship teams. And Draymond's like, well, I'd guard you. And he goes, well, who's going to be behind me? And he goes, Andrew Bogut. And just Shaq just takes off his glasses and goes, Draymond, seriously, no. How are you going to prevent me from catching the ball? He goes, well, I have a 7'6" wingspan. And he goes, I have a 9'6" wingspan. Like, you can't.
You couldn't,
dude.
man.
You couldn't.
He was
And
unreal.
if you look at what's interesting about NBA centers right now, and if anyone's like Wemby, this kid who is playing for the Spurs is incredibly tall. But you think about the meat on the bone, like Shaq versus like, how could that guy even get close to the basket?
No.
But they don't have players like Shaq anymore. There's no big body centers.
No, except Nikola Jokic, but he can still rain threes and can pass like Bird.
He's doing all that other stuff.
He does everything.
All right.
This one I just feel like they didn't hate each other. I just think they both were like the best in the world at the same time and they wanted to have that ego. You know, this was ego.
I think that they did hate each other, and I think Shaq wanted the ball more, and Kobe's work ethic and his personality just didn't allow for
100%.
A lot of the teamwork that Shaq probably wanted to have on it. Like you want the ball more when you know you're that good and you think you're capable of scoring every single time. But you had two people like that. Obviously, they're going to butt heads.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that story when the U.S. Olympic team with Kobe, with Paul Gasol?
No.
Like there's this documentary about it where it's LeBron and D Wade are all telling the story, and they're like, we're playing Spain in the first game, and Kobe said to the team ahead of time, he goes, hey, I know what they're going to do. They're going to set a double screen. It's going to end. Powell's going to send the second screen. I'm going to run right through him. And they're like, yeah, dude, that's your teammate. And he goes, watch what the fuck I do. First play of the game, they do the double screen. Kobe runs right through Pau Gasol and knocks him on his back and walks over him. And LeBron and D-Wade were just like, oh, shit, this is how intense this guy is? Like, he raised the whole bar for that team.
Yeah. No,
and I think, that's what he did everywhere he went.
The intensity, you watch these old interviews with Kobe Bryant talking about his work ethic and like how he was bad when he first started and just the amount of time that he put into being fit, perfect.
He was telling his kids, you can, most kids practice an hour and a half twice a week. He goes, if you practice 2 hours a day, every day, think about how much better you can be than them. Like, he's like, you got to get obsessed. It's crazy. He was obsessed, bro.
And then we have number 3, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. They were obviously other teammates, but, it really is a Batman and Robin situation here because you think about Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball player of all time, and 6 NBA championships.
Could have had, I think, I think he could have had 10 in a row. They won 3. He left for 2 for baseball.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Came back, won 3. Then he retired again. They could have won 2 and 2 in between
Just
2 at the end.
Shouldn't
10.
have gone anywhere.
Reisendorf, or whatever the owner is. What a clown.
No, it's ridiculous. And then this is the big thing. Obviously, I mean, it's got to be so weird. And I don't even think they're together now, but Pippen's ex dated Michael's son. They were engaged to be married, but the age difference is bananas.
What was the age difference?
Because,
if Pippen was dating someone younger and Jordan's son,
yes. But
could have been older.
Also, Pippen's son, knowing that your mom is going around with this much younger man that is Michael Jordan's son.
Yeah, Marcus is 33. Larsa is 49.
49 and 33.
16-year difference.
Which is not crazy. And she's an attractive lady.
Yeah.
With a lot of work.
Remember when Delonte West slept with LeBron's mom?
Oh, poor Delonte West.
I know.
If anybody doesn't know, Delonte West, he was homeless at one point.
Yeah, Mark Cuban took him in.
Did he?
Mark Cuban saw that he was at a gas station, went, got him into a house, said, what do you, we can't have this. We got to take care of you.
For sure. Yeah, it's disturbing. I don't know what Michael Jordan has thought about this, but certainly.
He doesn't care.
Oh, you don't think he cares?
No.
He probably doesn't care.
He's worth $2 billion. He got golf courses where they can drone you food at whatever hole you're on.
Pippen is famous. He said Michael was determined to be the greatest, but it came at the expense of the team, which again, you have somebody so driven that they have blinders on to personal relationships, feelings, any sort of empathy with what other people are doing. You know, these people that are so focused on success, they'll step on their mother's neck to get there.
Yeah.
On their mother's neck.
I don't know. It's intense.
Yeah. And then Jordan has said it and admitted it. These guys say it. It's like winning has a price and leadership has a price. So they don't give a shit.
Yeah. And he would say, like, you know, he cared about his teammates. They'll all win, you know?
Yeah.
That was the thing, too. Someone, who was it? Charles Oakley that used to talk shit about Ewing. And he said, you go to, if a Bulls player goes to Chicago out to dinner, their meal's paid for. And then they'll be like, oh, and they're like, yeah, Michael called ahead and he paid for it. Like, he would not let anyone on his team go out to dinner. He would pay for anyone. And he's like, that would never be something that, like, Ewing would do.
Oh, interesting. Next up, Reggie Miller and Spike Lee. Now, this is when Reggie Miller playing for the Indiana Pacers, going up against the Knicks. Obviously, Spike Lee you see him on the court side for every single Knicks game. Rabid fan. But he's then traveling to, Pacers home games.
Yeah.
And so the feud between Reggie Miller and Spike Lee, definitely one of the most entertaining between a player and a fan. It began during the 1994 playoffs. Reggie Miller's Pacers faced off against Spike Lee's Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. And Spike Lee, filmmaker, he's frequently heckling Miller from his courtside seat. So he's, and then he made this shot in Game 5. He scored 25 points in the fourth quarter and then makes this iconic choking gesture towards Spike Lee. So, again, nothing major. I'm sure they're very friendly at this point, but he goes to choke artist, directed at Spike, and then Spike Lee is yelling at him to sit down and shut up. And Reggie has said, I've had to deal with loudmouth fans before, but Spike takes it to another level. And so Spike, I think it's just all in good fun.
Yeah.
So.
I wouldn't even sweat it. The other thing about Reggie Miller was such a iconic basketball player at the time. I don't think he ever averaged over like 18 points a game. You know what I mean? Like, he was always consistent. Maybe he averaged 20 one season, but like he was like 18 or 17 a game. He wasn't like this dominant, like Jordan. He's in that category of like all those great players during that time, but he wasn't like baller. But he was clutch.
He looked like a player from today's NBA because he was always so thin. He's just amazing.
And he also had that game. Remember, he dropped 8 points in 9 seconds. Remember that one game?
Yes.
Against the Knicks, maybe.
What do you think about fans because you're on NBA courtside yelling out, and now you see a lot of NBA players pointing somebody out and go get him out of here?
Yeah.
I think Westbrook does it all the time.
Yeah.
You see James Harden do it all the time. Like, see that guy right there? Get him out.
Yeah. I think it's fine. And I think you can cheer for your team, but there's no reason to point and like pick on one, say anything directly, like where you're talking about their family or obviously not racial slur, none of that.
We used to go when we in San Francisco, sit in the bleachers at Giants games when Deion Sanders was playing for the Atlanta Braves.
Deion.
And we'd all chant, Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice, like that, and he would turn around with his glove and go like this, flip us all off.
How amazing of an athlete are you that in the other sport you're playing, you're getting taunted for the other sport that you play?
It's ridiculous.
By the way, my friend who I told you I used to play pickup basketball with, his dad, who I'd hoop with all the time, he was the first friend of ours that ever got their own phone line, right? And it was 279-2124. 2124. He got it specifically for Deion, his football number and his baseball number, 2124, because he loved Neon Deion. He'd be like, we're like, what was your number again? He's like, come on, you know it, 279 Dion.
That's hilarious. Speaking of Barrier Sports, number 5, Latrell Sprewell and PJ Carlissimo.
Now this is a dust-up.
This is a real dust-up.
Now, were you a Golden State fan at this point?
Massive, always from birth.
Okay, yeah.
I loved when we started winning. I had been with that team through so much nonsense.
But you went through the winning seasons with Chris Mullen and who is in Hardaway, right?
Winning season, we got ousted out of the first round of the playoffs, I think.
Every year?
Like, they were good, but
not like
we
the
weren't
run,
beating the
know?
Lakers. This is like, we had a great team in Run TMC, and I had tickets at that time. And I'm talking even before that. Like, we just put up with so much nonsense and so many bad draft picks. There's a whole Twitter account dedicated. It's called This Day in Suck. And it'll every single day we'll go through and say a shitty Warriors move, because we had the longest playoff drought in professional sports at one point.
Wow, yeah.
So we were just always horrible.
But when you had Latrell, you guys started getting good, right?
Latrell was good. Like, we had these glimpses of promise, but never quite, no.
Joe Barry Carroll.
Yeah, Sleepy Floyd.
Yeah.
Joe Barry Carroll.
So Latrell was there before PJ Carlissimo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Carlissimo came in from Seton Hall. Now, I knew who PJ Carlissimo was because I was a Big East fan. You know what I mean? Like, that was like, there's no college teams in Boston. You know what I mean? There's Boston College, but no one cares. But you'd follow the Big East. And remember, it was like Seton Hall and Villanova, and that was like Ewing came out of Georgetown and all that. So, when he went over to these guys, he got this, I think he coached in Portland, then went over to Golden State.
The coaching in college versus coaching in the pros. You got these kids that are on scholarships.
Sure.
And whatever, that are motivated and probably not going to play in the NBA versus a bunch of stars.
Which was a big part of the story here, is that Carlissimo used to call everyone a motherfucker. He would call he goes, you motherfuckers. He would call all the players that. And Sprewell.
I don't think you do that.
Huh?
I don't think that you could do that.
Well, that's what he did do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and he wanted him to throw crisper passes.
Yeah, well, so there's a couple things that I read into this. Brian Shaw did a whole breakdown on this because he was on the team. And he said that Sprewell kind of like did his own thing. He would there was a dress code back then when they had to travel. And Sprewell would rock like slides and sweats, and they kept finding him. And so Carlissimo would get on him all the time because he would like put his headphones on and just do his own thing. And he's like, you're going to get fined for it. And he goes, hey, here's the deal. I talked to my agent. It's a $500 fine every time I dress like this. We got 41 away games. It's $20,000. And he literally said, he goes, charge me $20,000 and don't ever fucking bring it up again. Stop.
I kind of love it.
I love it too. Then Carlissimo comes in this day, they're shooting around, and he said he's not making good enough passes, and he's telling him he yelled at him about something. Yeah, he yelled at him, and what's his face? Sprewell just kind of was like, whatever, they went back to playing, and then later Carlissimo goes over somewhere else, comes back, yells something at him again, and he goes, you talk to me like that one more fucking time, and I'm gonna beat your ass.
He warned him,
bro. And, of course, Carlissimo did, and he went over, he goes, all right, and he fucking went over, and he choked him. And then he got interviewed on USA Today, and they go, you were choking him. He goes, he could breathe. He literally goes, I wasn't choking him so much he couldn't breathe. But Brian Shaw said, when that fight happened, no player, none of them, hopped in to, break it up. It was all assistant coaches, because they were all kind of like, fuck this guy. None of them liked Carlissimo.
That's interesting.
Then you know what happened? You remember Sprewell did a public apology, because they were going to, what's the suspension going to be? Brian Shaw said they brought the team together and they asked everyone how much you think he should be suspended. The team asked, the GM and stuff like that, and they all said something like 10 games. They think 10 games. He goes, all right, do not talk about this to anyone. We don't want anything leaked. We don't want anyone to talk. We want to keep this in-house. Brian Shaw said, he goes, I got home. He goes, I live 10 minutes from practice facility. I got home, I put on the news, and there's Carlissimo with the choke marks on his neck, and they had reported it. And so basically Shaw was like, they're saying we can't say anything. They did. Sprewell has a press conference to apologize, and a bunch of the Warriors stood with him, right? And all the guys, the older guys like Brian Shaw and some of the older dudes said to the younger guys, like, yo, listen, like, we might take a fall here. So if you got like skin, if you're like younger, you might not want to stand with them. And so some of the younger guys didn't. And every single guy that stood with them got either traded or cut within 2 weeks of that press conference.
Shit.
And Brian Shaw said he got traded with I can't remember who he got traded with. And he said when he was at the airport, he saw one of the other dudes. He goes, they trade you too? And he goes, they cut my ass.
Oh, Jesus. This day in Suck, man. That is definitely coming up because we just had horrible shit like that happening nonstop. And termination of his contract. It was a 68-game suspension, $24 million a year at the time.
Yeah.
Then Carlissimo was fired by Golden State early in 1999 after his team limped to a 6-21 start. That was the story of the Warriors. So if anybody is talking shit about Warrior fans or like the real ones, have put up with a lot, and we deserve every bit of our 4 rings and success.
And then Sprewell went over to New York, after that. Like
he had a great career in New York.
He kept having a really good career. Made the All-Star team. He had made the All-Star team 3 times.
Yeah.
When Carlissimo got there. And guess what? Carlissimo was a tool.
Yeah.
I
like
the way
this
he
quote by
dressed.
Sprewell, too. I don't care about money. I just want respect.
Well,
money's great, but respect means more to me than anything.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's true.
All right, now we have another Warrior dust up.
I want to hear your perspective on this.
Draymond Green versus Jordan Poole. And I will go on record. I love myself some Draymond Green. He's fantastic to have on your team. He is a liability. If he had not had a 15-game suspension this year, I think we would have not been in the play-in. I think we would definitely. I don't know if we'd be in the playoffs. I don't know if we could beat OKC. I don't think we could. I don't think we could beat the Timberwolves. I'm not saying how well we would have done in the playoffs. We certainly would not be in them right now. However, I think we would have gone way deeper into the playoffs and not been in the plan at all. And been like a 5th or 6th seed.
I think Draymond Green is like the definition of a guy that fills up the stat sheet. I mean, he fills it up anyway. With like 12, 8, 2 steals, and a block. But
nearly a triple-double. He does so much.
It's not even the stat. Like, it's the things he does that like disturb. Someone was saying the other day they should have like hockey assists in basketball, so it's not just like the first assist, but it's the assist before the assist.
Mm-hmm.
And Draymond, like that dude, he is 100% a guy you do not want on another team. You only want him on your team.
I hope he retires a Warrior. I love him.
He's going right to the press box.
Oh, he's great on his podcast. He's great on TV. I think he knows the game of basketball. But in practice in 2022, he punched the shit out of
Jordan Poole.
Jordan Poole, who is now he's a Washington Wizards player. He was not good.
Well, he was starting to fill in because when Steph got hurt, didn't Poole come in and like
Poole had
filled
moments,
it up a little bit?
He was like he definitely had games and made shots that were unbelievable, but that has to do with a lot of the supporting
around
cast
him,
that he had around him. So anyway, he's also a massive shit talker.
Poole is?
Yes.
Interesting.
And when you're talking shit to Draymond Green, and Jordan Poole is talking shit to Draymond Green, you're gonna get punched across the face.
What was he? Do you know what they were talking?
I think it was in a contract year. Both of them were in a contract year, and he was talking about. I think he was basically getting money, and I think Draymond said something to the fact that there's a quote about him being the backpack. It was.
Well, there was also, wasn't it kind of like? And correct me if I'm wrong.
You're a backpack for number 30. You're an expensive backpack for number 30 is what he
said that to Draymond?
No, that's what
Draymond said to Poole?
Draymond said to Poole.
Because Poole, I can't stand people who can't see what came before them. And Poole got lucky to come into this team when you had like a bad year because 2 guys got hurt, so you had a higher draft, right? And you got Poole out of Michigan or whatever, right? And then he comes in and he's filling in for Steph, and he's playing well, but he's got all these pieces around him. If you can't understand, so was the beef that like Poole was like, I'm going to get a contract or you're going to contract and I deserve it?
It was about, listen to some of the shit.
Poole made the backpack comment to Draymond.
Oh, really? Poole made the backpack.
Steph had been carrying Draymond.
Oh, got it. So Poole made the backpack comment. Then this is some other shit that Poole says. I fucked more girls at Michigan State than you did. A rough one because Poole went to Michigan. And then he said, you'll be in Sacramento next year to Draymond. And then...
Before Sacto was good.
Yes. Why is your Twitter handle Money Green if you're broke?
Oh, my God. What a joke. You're a fucking joke, Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
And let's be... What we just said, Draymond Green never has been like, oh, I'm a great shooter. He's like, I'm a hustle. I'm going to rebound. I'm going to assist. I can guard your 7-footer if I need to. I can also guard your point guard if I need to. And if I can't, I'm going to do a play that's just illegal enough that I'm not going to get caught, but it's not going to get called.
Can I tell you a funny stat? This is a fact.
Sure.
If we at the Madrigal House buy a Warriors T-shirt or jersey, that player is going to get traded within a year. We got it. These are our 4 T-shirts and jerseys.
All right.
And then we've got other like star player stuff, but we like obscure players. Harrison Barnes, who I became friends with.
I loved him. I never thought they should have traded him.
I don't think they should have either. We have a Harrison Barnes. I have a Patrick McCaw.
Are you guys?
Exactly. I have an Eric Pascal T-shirt.
Okay.
He was at Villanova.
I'm still not sure who that is.
He went to Utah. I'm not sure if he's in the league anymore. Patrick McCaw, I know is not. And for Christmas, my son got me adult floaties and a Jordan Poole pool party T-shirt.
Amazing.
And so I would, during a run, say, put on the adult floaties, and when Jordan Poole was getting hot.
Did they win that year after they traded Poole? When was the last time the Warriors won? Didn't they win it like 3 years ago?
Yeah, they won with Poole.
Oh, they won it with Poole.
Yeah, and then he came, and then he got punched.
Okay,
yeah.
Because we didn't know if he would win that one. Jordan Poole's a joke, bro. And then they sent him to Washington. He's down there with Kusama, and they didn't do anything. It's too bad. I wonder if Kuzma, yeah.
Anyway, so there you go. That's everything you need to know about the Jordan Poole and Draymond Green beef.
He socked him, man.
He really did. Then we have Paul Pierce. You can sort of take over for this one since you're...
I don't even know this one. I don't even know why Pierce and LeBron had a beef.
It's nothing crazy.
Except did Pierce just say something post-retirement that LeBron isn't the GOAT? I mean, because that's like a beef that people talk about all the time.
So Paul Pierce and LeBron James rivalry spanned over a decade. So this is more just like LeBron's with when LeBron was with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Miami Heat. So they got into it, and it's a lot of physical play. It's a lot of trash talk, but it's like a low grade version of your Bird and Magic Johnson. There's not a lot here. What was the story with Paul Pierce when the wheelchair, like he had to go?
Let me tell you so many things about Paul Pierce that I love. One, he fell to us at 10 out of Kansas, and he's supposed to go like top 3. So we got Paul Pierce. We didn't know we were going to. Paul Pierce got stabbed 17 times at a nightclub and came back. He got hurt one game, and they had to take him away in a wheelchair because he couldn't even stand, and he came back in a playoff game, and the place went bananas because he's Paulie Pierce. He's points, baby.
I heard that was because he had to take a shit.
No.
Ben. Anyway, Ben, let's keep going.
There are stories about if you poop your pants, does it make sense to sit down and mush it in a wheelchair? Paul Pierce says it was not about the poop.
There you go.
Shit his pants. Had to be taken out in a wheelchair.
Anyway, he's still... I got to meet Paul. Paul Pierce was at the Comedy Store one night. I don't geek out over anyone, and I'm sitting there, and I'm in the hallway behind the OR, and Chris Spencer's there, and I look at Spencer. I go, is Paul Pierce with you? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, bro, you got to fucking introduce me. And he's like, all right. So we're walking over. Before we even get to him, I go, he's Paul, he's Pierce, he's points. And I was like stoked. He was awesome.
That's cool.
Love Pierce. I love his breakdown. You ever see him and Kevin Garnett's podcast?
No.
Oh, So great.
Hilarious.
Oh, it's great.
And then there's Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverly. Patrick Beverly is one of those players
Everybody.
in the NBA. He's in your
He's got to beef with everybody.
He is, but he seems like off the court, he's wonderful. Like
He seems like a great guy, and he's a great defender.
but he just makes a business out of being a little fucking pest and irritant. So you can see how him and Westbrook would not like each other. They've had a lot of heated confrontations, so that's our number 8 beef. And then Rajon Rondo and Chris Paul. Now, we watched this video right before I came in here. They get into it forever. So they're constantly chirping back at each other, back and forth. But the most notable incident occurs in 2018. There's other players get into a fight. Then Rondo and Chris Paul. Rondo goes up to Chris Paul and like low key spits right in his face.
Well, it's still a debate whether or not he did it or not.
I watched an up close video. He spits in his face.
But I think you watch every video up close
Subtly because of my glasses.
Because your glasses.
Jay loves making fun of, and a lot of people do, like making fun of the fact if I have to read something, because I don't have those progressive glasses, oh my God, these are filthy, and I'm blind, so I have to look at something up close.
Yeah. So let me just say this about Rondo and Paul. It started way before this fight when he was on New Orleans and he was on the Rockets.
No, it's Lakers versus Rockets.
He was on the Lakers at that time when they had that
when
fight?
they had spit fight.
Either way, Paul came into the league to New Orleans, and he was hyped, dude. He was like, I don't know, was he the number 3 pick or the number 1 pick? And he went right into a winning team. Rondo came onto the Celtics. They were a low pick. He was like a 21st pick. Nobody was expecting big things, and the Celtics sucked at the time. They were not good that first season, and then they put the dream team together, the big 3, the first big 3, and they traded Al Jefferson, got KG out of what's it called, and then they traded the dude from Georgetown who still plays to Seattle, and we got Ray Allen, and all of a sudden he's on this team that's going to be a title contender, wins the job as point guard, and then boom, goes to the finals and wins a title. And he had moments with, like, it was always this debate, who's the best point guard in the league, right? And everybody was like, well, it's Chris Paul. And Rondo's like, I just won the goddamn title. And he was doing amazing plays. Remember how exciting he was?
All I know about Rajon Rondo is I was doing that Cam Neely, Dennis Leary thing, comics come home,
yeah.
And we were at the hotel having that after party, and somebody from the hotel or something, I don't know how this came up, but we were talking about biggest assholes in Boston sports, and people were saying Rondo, because at the valet, he'd throw his keys at the valet's feet.
Wow.
That's
maybe he's going for a bounce pass.
Dick move.
Well, if you look up to it,
It also harms your keys.
If you do the history of go deep dive in this, everyone will tell you, and Rondo has said it, Chris Paul is not a good teammate, and he's not a good dude.
He seems like he's a good teammate for the Warriors. I'm not sure if they're going to keep him next year.
Not if you go in and you hear about what other people say about him, and that was like a thing with Rondo.
What are they saying?
Just give me 2 seconds, because it goes even further. When the Olympic team came out, Chris Paul starting on it, Rondo went and they would like tried out, was like, and they said, hey, how about you just play on the team that plays against the Olympic team? And Rondo was like, no, I'm not gonna be the Washington Generals.
Yeah.
You know? And then he had said to CP3, you're never gonna get a ring. That was like one of the things they had like
curse
beef
on him. He looks like a witch.
He goes, I have a ring and you're never gonna get one. That was
I
long.
have a ring and you'll never get one.
Yeah, it was a Disney premise. I can't remember who or what players said that he was not a good teammate, but there's a list of them that talk shit about Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Do you think you just favor him because he played?
No, I don't.
Warriors?
I've never liked Chris Paul and kind of hate that he was on the Warriors. So, I would not have made that trade. I mean, it's just they sort of bumbled a lot of stuff. They went back to making some poor decisions that were akin to choices that they made when we were in the world of suck. And then finally, I want to close out on this one. James Dolan versus Charles Oakley. Now, Charles Oakley played for the New York Knicks for 10 years. He was a beast of a basketball player.
He was not afraid to do the dirty work.
Yeah, he was like one of these old NBA enforcer types who really would not take any shit. And he has to buy his own ticket. There's an incident in 2017. He buys his own ticket. He's sitting in the fourth row, and it's like 4.5 minutes into the game. And I think he's talking shit to Dolan, owner, within earshot.
He would chirp a lot to Dolan, and he was critical of Dolan for years before this. He was always critical of Dolan.
This is when the entire, arena is yelling, and MSG is yelling, fire Dolan.
Fire Dolan. But Dolan said he made it a thing that if a fan does that, he can throw them out. He'll throw them out if they're saying fire him or if they have signs or anything.
So he's making comments to the Knicks owner. Eventually, security escorts him out. Like 8 guys come towards him. All the fans are chanting Oakley, because he's beloved, and he was probably pissed he had to pay for his ticket.
Well, there's also a history goes way back that when LeBron was in high school, Oakley befriended LeBron, right? And so they started becoming boys. And Oakley introduced him to Jordan like he wanted to know Jordan. And Oakley played with Jordan in Chicago. So they were buddies. So LeBron came to Chicago to do like a pickup game with Jordan, and he got to meet Jordan. And so Oakley and LeBron became buddies. So when LeBron was a free agent before going to L.A., they were at like the All-Star game.
Knicks were really going after him.
They were really going after him. And they were at a restaurant, and Oakley was eating dinner with Rich Paul and LeBron, and Dolan was at another table, and this other dude, I can't remember his name, Wes something, said to Oakley, come over. So Oakley goes over to the table, says hi to everybody, and apparently Dolan wouldn't shake his hand because Oakley had been critical of Dolan, right? So he goes back to the table, and they go, what's up? And he goes, motherfucking Dolan, motherfucker wouldn't shake my hand. And I guess LeBron said, that's why I'll never sign in New York. But Dolan has resentment against Oakley for being critical, and they think that was a moment where he was just like, oh, yeah, he prevented LeBron coming to New York. Although no free agents go to New York.
No, it's a lot of pressure to play on a New York.
And they don't want to be around that. I think it's Dolan. He's just a rich kid musician who inherited a fucking team from his dad.
Yeah. And then when the Knicks had celebrated their franchise's 70th anniversary, Oakley not invited.
Wow.
Huh. You know what? I'm really trying to be as positive as I can, not hold on to any grudges.
You are a positive guy.
Yeah. I think I'm doing a good job.
I think you're doing a great job.
I don't know if I do any of this.
What do you mean?
Well, first of all, if I own an NBA team, I don't know if I'm sitting
courtside.
Courtside.
Yeah, like, you up in the box.
I might be in a box.
God, dude, of course you're not, Al. You're going to be in the box with like the head of Kellogg's trying to get your team. You're trying to do some merger.
Do a deal.
Yeah, this guy doesn't give a shit. He owns the New York Rangers. He owns I think he owns the Liberty, and he owns the Knicks, and I think he owns Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, if you could, courtside is seen. I've never sat courtside.
And the Sphere in Vegas.
Yeah, and the Sphere.
He owns the Sphere?
Yes.
Yeah,
outright?
owns it, yeah.
Or he founded it. Like that was part of
the group, Madison Square Garden group, yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's nuts.
Anyway, he has Oakley kicked out, and then later took a bigger dig and said what? I hope he gets the help he needs, because he claims that Oakley was intoxicated and drunk, and he said that I hope he gets the help he needs as like this fucking shot to say he's an alcoholic.
Alcoholic, or it's mental health, or whatever.
Alcoholic.
Yeah.
Because Dolan, I guess, is sober.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure. But either way, he was taking that shot. And now Oakley has not been back since.
That's too bad.
They had a meeting with Adam Silver, Dolan, Silver, Oakley, and Jordan on the phone, Michael Jordan, to mend it all up. Everyone mended it up, and then afterwards, Oakley said, I will never go back until he makes a public apology. He didn't just want it behind closed doors. He wants that public apology. He ain't gonna get it.
That's what happens when two stubborn people butt heads. You know, it's not gonna go well.
He did him wrong, dude.
Oh, he totally did.
He's royalty. You know what I mean? It's the same way Jordan Poole. You weren't there, bro. They went all like Draymond earned his seat at that table.
You've got
Oakley
to
earned his
respect
seat.
your elders, and you've got to respect like also people that have done it, and be respectful of the people's contributions to whatever career you're in. I think it's just it's ridiculous not to be aware of what other people have done.
Yeah, 100%.
So whatever industry you're in, it's like you're kind of aware of it. It's a respectful thing to see, and be knowledgeable about your sort of.
I'm not I didn't grow up like watching Martin or Martin Lawrence's stand up, but last week at the store, I was going up after him, and a lot of people there, like, he's got that new movie coming out, and when he was done, I just was like, ladies, like, don't keep clapping. That's like a icon.
Did he murder? He did really well, right?
He didn't have a good set.
Oh, really?
I've
watched him go in and just crush.
Yeah, I know. So have I.
Amazing. Follow us on social media at the Dust Up Podcast, Twitter at the Dust Up Pod, the Dust Up Pod, the Dust Up on YouTube, and now
send
it's
us
very
your dust
exciting.
ups.
People are sending them in. We're gonna do a whole show where we just read these. So get them in now. And that's coming up next
and
week.
then keep them coming.
The Dust Up Pod at Gmail or 925-727-DUST.
Dust.
Al Madrigal, Jay Larson Comedy. These are the Flat Trackers. Take care, everybody.
Later.